Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Let's begin today with a very basic question, and that is, have you ever been victimized? Now, unless you've been hiding under a rock, yes, at some point in your life, you've been on the receiving end of abusive or manipulative or inappropriate behavior in some primary relationships. And when we talk about having been victimized, we're talking about you receiving unjust or unmerited or painful or detrimental messages and actions from another individual. It just wasn't right, it wasn't appropriate, but there it was, and you had to come to terms with the fallout that would come along with that. And along with your sense of victimization, you can say, yeah, I've been on the receiving end of anger that's been completely inappropriate. I've had to deal with individuals who have dealt improperly, let's say, with money management. It could be that you've been on the receiving end of insults, whether it's to your face or you learn about it because it's behind your back. Maybe you've been on the receiving end of bullying or perhaps social exclusion. It could be that you have certain unsafe and toxic people in your world, and just about any time you're around them, something difficult may come along. It could be that you've been in the wrong place at the wrong time and something very difficult happened. There are all sorts of possibilities of how you might be victimized. Now, whenever you've been on the receiving end of victimization, it's reasonable to say that you have emotion, you have some concerns on your part, and it's going to take some time to work it out. Now, you'll notice, though, that there's hardly a victim like a narcissistic victim. They, too, may have been on the receiving end of unjust and inappropriate behavior, but with narcissists, they don't manage their status as a victim in the same way that healthy and normal individuals do. If you are a normal person and you've been on the receiving end of victimization, sure enough, you can hurt, you can struggle, you can have struggles with your trust of other individuals. I mean, all sorts of emotional strain can come to you. But at some point, you come to terms with it and you figure out how you're going to move forward despite the fact that negative things have come in your direction. And whenever we're talking about the narcissist, it's like, well, first of all, they tend not to come to terms with whatever difficulties have been thrown in their direction. But beyond that, there are also times when it's like, is what you're even talking about true? Have you really been victimized in the way that you claim that you've been victimized? Let me give you a real simple illustration. I recall talking with a particular man, and he was talking to me like at home, his wife was yelling at him, and he had to put up with all of that with her screaming. So later, I talked with the wife, and she was talking about, oh yeah, he accuses me of yelling. And I said, well, give me an example of what we're talking about. And she told me about an episode where she caught him telling some major lies, like big time. And in the course of the conversation, she just stopped and she just said in a loud tone, "What's going on here?" That's what he meant when he said she yells at me. So he made himself out to be the victim when in fact she was exasperated and she expressed some emotion. That's not the same as being on the receiving end of unjust kind of behavior, but that's how narcissists operate. Let's keep in mind that these are individuals who are master manipulators. They have to stay on the high end of the relationship. In other words, they need to be superior. They've got to be in control. They don't have empathy. They have a self-indulging and entitled attitude in the way that they engage with the world. So if something is going on in a narcissist world, and they don't like what's happening, they turn themselves into the victim and they wear it and like a shield, and they try to milk it for all that it's worth. When a narcissist says that they've been victimized, what they're basically prone to saying is, or if they could be honest like this, something that I don't like hasn't happened. Let me see if I can figure out how I can use this to my advantage. And so they like to dominate. And so if narcissists can assign shame to the other individual and try to make that other person out to be the guilty party, it's like, I'm willing to do that. Or if narcissists want to deflect attention away from their misgivings or their mistakes by putting it onto someone else, you did it to me, I'm willing to do that. I think I can work with this. If they notice that there's been some sort of strain and difficulty between yourself and them, in their mind it's like, let me see how I can weaponize your reactions to me and make myself out to be the one who deserves the sympathy. And basically, in their victimization, narcissists are constantly trying to prop themselves up as being a misunderstood, wonderful person, when in fact, all they're doing is they're trying to maintain their false self, their false image. And in most cases, when a narcissist implies that they are the victim, they're just seeking sympathy. They're seeking some form of concession from other individuals, and it's just simply not honest. Now, there are some telltale signs that we can watch for that tells you if a narcissist is going into their hard victimization mode of a false nature. First, one of the things we can say is, over time, their problematic experiences can actually become central to their identity. For example, they can say, well, I've had some people in my family of origin who are the most impossible individuals that you have ever met with. And yet, when they talk about it, you notice they just never move forward. It's like they don't know how to make adjustments. They just complain a lot. Their problems become central to who they are. Or another thing that we can say that indicates that they are going into their victimization mode and they're parked there is they tend not to really share positive experiences, of course, unless it makes them look good, but they prefer to park in their negative experiences. Now, by that I mean they hold grudges. They hold on to resentments. They hold on to contempt. And it's like, that's the only thing that's ever happened to me. And so when you talk with them, it's like, well, my life has just been one series after another of people just mistreating me. And when you say, has anything happened good? Oh, yeah, I do things good. They give themselves credit. But they don't really have a sense of balance in the way that they look at the world. Many times you can know that narcissist is going into their victimization mode when they project negative qualities onto you or other individuals that don't really match pitch with what's truly going on. Like that person that said, my wife yells at me a lot. It's like, no, you yell, you have a bad temper, but you try to deflect by letting it be known, well, actually, she's the one who's got the problem. That's classic projection. I see in other individuals what I don't want to have to come to terms with in myself. As a result, another indicator that these people are stuck in their victimization mode is they blame, they accuse, and they have such an idealized version of themselves that if anyone just thinks differently, well, then they're against me. Or they accuse when in fact there's hardly anything there that's worth focusing on. You know, you have a bad attitude, when in fact, no, that's not really the case. But they look for the negative, and they're masters at being able to find the things that are negative. And then, of course, when you do want to talk with them about their contributions to negative circumstances, it's never their fault. They can't take responsibility for the things in their life that illustrate their own humanity and their own strain and struggle. They don't empathize with you. They don't really care about what you think or what you feel. It's like, no, let me tell you more about how my life is difficult and how you've contributed to that. And if they do give the appearance of empathy, for example, let's suppose you say, I've had a difficult day. They can mirror it by saying, oh, I'm sorry you had a difficult day. But then they bring the topic right back to themselves. Well, my day's been even worse. And so they have a knack for knowing how to make their world just sound awful. Now, of course, in their victimization, it allows them to be mean because they have an excuse now. Well, you'd be angry too if you had to deal with the stuff that I have. But over time, it becomes quite clear they're not interested in personal growth. They're not interested in examining the whats and the whys and the wherefores of the difficulties that are in their life. They simply want to complain. And in doing so, it allows them to think of the world around them as being filled with inferior people, and enlightened individuals like them have to just put up with fools like you. That's how they think. So when we talk about having a victim status, sure enough, each one of us can have our moments where we are on the receiving end of some really lousy things. But in doing so, when that happens, healthy individuals will say, given what's happened in my life, how can I grow? How can I learn? How can I find strength? How can I turn this into empathy so that I can relate well with other individuals who may need the insight and awareness that I can bring? Narcissists, though, it's like, how can I use my experiences to my advantage? And so how can I one-up myself over you by letting you know you and everybody else are the problem? I am unique in the sense that I've had to suffer like no one else, when in fact, it's little more than them trying to exploit and manipulate the individuals around. So I know that strain and difficulty and hurt and frustration can be a part of each person's life. We have victimization, but healthy individuals grow and they can get beyond. Unhealthy narcissistic individuals, it's like, oh, I am going to work this as far as I possibly can. And I'm hoping that when you are exposed to individuals who are thinking that way, whatever kind of garbage they're trying to project onto you, don't take it. These individuals are masters at minimizing their contributions to the negativity in their life. And I'm hoping you can decide, well, I'm not going to take on your woes just because you refuse to take responsibility for yourself. Now, I hope that videos such as this can give you some good clarification of what you might be dealing with. If you've not already done so, I'd encourage you to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button too, that helps us. And we'll keep more videos coming in your direction. And if you have a need for therapy, and I know many times when you're engaging with individuals of this nature, it can be so necessary for you to have somebody to help you unpack that. For years now, I've been sponsored by the people at BetterHelp.com. Many people have found it to be quite beneficial. There's a link below that will take you to their website. There's a whole team of licensed professional therapists that can assist you. I would encourage you to seek that out if that's a need that you would have. Likewise, I have my therapeutic courses. Each course has multiple videos, teaching documents, and guided questions. You can work it at your own pace. It's very extensive. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making connection skills. This is me about establishing your boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers. We also have my webinars. We have my Surviving Narcissism podcast. We have our website with many articles. And also we have my books, plenty of resources for you. I truly appreciate you allowing me to be on your journey with you. Okay, each one of us has had a certain victimization. I'm hoping you can take the things that have happened in your life that have not been excellent and decide, you know what, somebody's going to have to make some healthy adjustments. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be the change that I want to see in other individuals. Narcissists is like, I'm going to just work this for all it's worth, and I hope that I can use this as one more tool in my shed to make you feel badly about who you are so I can elevate myself. I hope you can see straight through that. And in doing so, it allows you to have a sense of steadiness in the way that you engage with these individuals, because I'm hoping that ultimately you can be a kind of person that says, I want to be committed to finding peace.